Welcome to another episode of the APWASI Wine Buzz series interviews. My name is Dr. Clinton Lee, and I'm your host. Today's guest, I would identify with the letter V because his name is Valentino Valentini. And you guessed it right, he's Italian. So I would like to introduce a winemaker, a winery owner, a man that has been influential in his town of Montefalco, which is in the province of Umbria in Italy. For those of you who might want to know where Umbria is and what's significant about it, it's the only region in Italy that is not bordered with any international boundary, nor does it have any access to the sea. But it is because of that uniqueness that it has been granted the uniqueness of a particular grape called Sagrantino. So I would like to introduce Valentino Valentini. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Well, hi everybody. I'm Valentino from Bocale Winery in Umbria.
Welcome, welcome. And Valentino, tell us, about your family history in Montefalco, because Montefalco is a medieval city that goes back from up to 13th century.
Montefalco is a medieval city, but was founded in the Roman period. And we have a very long history by the wine production. We have a lot of documents about the wine production in Montefalco from the Roman period. The first document is the Historia Naturale by Plinio il Vecchio during the Roman period, and talk about a very characteristic grape that was called Itriola. And this time, Montefalco was a small village in the municipality of Mevania. That is the actual Bevagna is a town close to Montefalco that is inside of the denomination of Montefalco. Then Montefalco became a free town in around the 11th century. And we had the first statue in the 12th century with a lot of rule about the wine work, the work in the vineyard, the work to grow up the vineyard, to sell the wine. So in the statute of the 1262, there is a very, very important part of the rule about the wine business. So that means that in this period, the wine was very, very important for the town hall and for the community of Montefalco. Then we have a very particular document of the 14th century that talk about Sagrantino. Is the first document that talk about the grape Sagrantino, and now is in the ancient library of Assisi. It's the first document that talk about this kind of grape. Then we have other kind of documents very important. One is the starting of the harvest. In the 1520, the town hall established the date when the winery can start to harvest the grape, and the document starts saying nobody start to harvest the grape before the 20th of September. So
and does that still apply today?
Yeah. No, we don't. Today we have the harvest of Sagrantino in the second half of October. So we understand why they make this kind of rule to have the perfect maturation of the grape. So the quality was very, very important for the town hall and for the community of Montefalco. And then I would like to talk to you about the last document. Is very, very important because probably is the first wine bar in the world. In the 1703, the town hall of Montefalco give the license to the monks of the St. Francis Church to sell and drink the wine. Before was not allowed to drink immediately the wine. You can buy and bring to your house, and was the first license like a wine bar today, like an enoteca in Italy. So the people can go there and buy and drink one glass of wine. So that means that Montefalco, from the Roman period to the starting of the 20th century, was very, very important place for the wine production. Then we had a very strange period after the First War the World War and the Second War, Montefalco lose around 3,000 people in North Europe, in North Italy. It was very, very difficult to live here. And so this is the reason, because many wineries and many farms, they change Sagrantino with other kind of grape. Sagrantino is the grape that made exactly the half of the production of the other kind of grapes. If Sangiovese made around 9,000 kilograms per hectare, Sagrantino is 4,500, 5,000 maximum. So exactly the half. And so the people, like my grandfather, they change Sagrantino with Montepulciano d'Abruzzo or with Sangiovese, and they made Sagrantino only in the Passito version. They keep only 20, 30 plants to make the Sagrantino for the Passito version. And we start to make Sagrantino dry in the end of the 70s. And in 20 years, 25 years, became one of the most important reds after the most famous from Tuscany, from Piedmont, from Veneto. And Sagrantino was, before the explosion of the south of Italy, one of the most important grapes that became known in over the world. Then we had Campania, Sicily, Puglia, totally changed. But Umbria probably was the first region with the Sagrantino, thank you, the Sagrantino, to become famous after the most important region famous in over the world. And Montefalco changing a lot of Sagrantino. Thank you, Sagrantino. Montefalco is a small village of the most important sector is the agriculture. And in 20 years, we change our economy. Now, if you visit Montefalco, there is a lot of restaurants, of wine shop. I've been the mayor of Montefalco in this period from 1999 and 2009. Was the period of the explosion. We had the new generation. In the town hall, I was 27, and all the owner of the wineries was 30, 40 maximum. So new generation that they would like to show that Montefalco can be a very important area to wine production. And we have a very important result. When I started to be mayor, the wineries in Montefalco was 12. Now we have 85 wineries. We have the very big investment for the wineries, the big wineries in Montefalco. Then we had one very strange thing that one of the two company that was a cooperative company with small farmer that they sell the grape to the farm, and they stopped to sell the grape to the big cooperative and start to become producer. And so we have small producer that became very, very important producer in this area. And we had in the last years of 70s around 100 hectares of Sagrantino. Now we have 600 hectares of Sagrantino, 200,000 bottle to 1 million bottle of Sagrantino. So when we became very famous, the production of Sagrantino was very few. Now we are present in all the market. Like a winery like me, we are a small winery. We have 6 hectares. We produce around 35,000 bottles. We have 70% export market. Our market is we sell in Italy in the winery. You don't find in Rome, in Milan, in Naples. It's easier to find in Vancouver or in Seattle or in Los Angeles or in New York, our wines. So we have a very, very important export market for our winery.
So let me take you back a few steps, because the city has been a medieval city, and on your website you said the Valentini family returned. So where are you originally from? Are you from the region?
Because we are origin from the town close to Montefalco that is called Gualdo Cattaneo. And my grandfather and the father of my grandfather, my grandfather was young because was 16, 17, and the family chose to come in Montefalco from Gualdo Cattaneo, and they make it's very strange, the history, because they make exchange of the land. They have the property close to the land in Gualdo Cattaneo with the property of this land here, and it was like was a big property, and they say the property close to Gualdo Gattano say to change, they make the change, and was very useful for my grandfather, grand-grandfather, because they make.
What year was this?
Was
What
to
year?
1925, 1926.
So
and
your
they
family's been there since that time?
Yeah, and
Over
they
100
established
years.
it here. Yeah, and they started with a farm with 50 hectares, so very, very big.
Okay.
So the family, my grandfather has 5 brothers and 12 nephews. So very, very big family, like in the family in the past here.
Standard,
and they,
standard Italian family.
Yeah.
More people.
And they, many people that they need to have the hand to work in the field.
Yes.
So, and they make olive oil. They have the oil mill, the winery. They make wine. They made cereals, of course. They had cows. They had all that the people need to live. And
So,
the people that come here is very interesting, because the name of Bocale came from my grandfather and the brothers of my grandfather. In the past, in Montefalco was used a jug of 2 liters. Is the unit what's called Bocale. Bocale means the jug of 2 liter. Is the unit of 2 liter. And people use this jug to buy wine and olive oil. And they went in the winery, in the farm of my grandfather, with this jug to buy wine and olive oil. And they started to call my grandfather and the brothers Bocale. So became the nickname of my family. My family's surname, like you said before, is Valentini. But everybody knows, like my family, like Bocale family, because our work was sell wine and olive oil with this jug.
spectacular. So after 100 years, your family is now known for that unit, for olive oil or for wine, as the Bocale.
Yeah.
So I think that's remarkable. And you know, you mentioned, you mentioned that your family has been there for about 100 years, and you were the mayor of Montefalco for over 10 years. And now, you know, looking at and you mentioned something about, you know, the number of wineries has increased and the economy in Montefalco. So I know for a fact that in certain parts of the world, labor is always an issue. And surprisingly, even in China, in the wine regions of China, a huge problem is finding labor, because most of the population tend to move to the inner cities. Now, according to latest statistics, I think 2017, there's only about 5,500 people in Montefalco. So do you bring in outside laborers during harvest? How does it work, you know, Valentino?
We have some company that help use the small winery, because the big wineries, they have a lot of employer for all the work that they need to make. A winery like me, we can make all the work, all the member of the family. So me, my father, my mother, my brother, my wife, and we made all the work in the winery, the test, the wine testing, I'm the export market of the winery, but we have 2-3 times in the year that we need, in few time, 15, 20 people, because we made alone the pruning, because we have a lot of time. It's a big work, but we have 2 months and a half. We can start in January and we can finish in the half of March. But then we have the green pruning, and we need to make in 2 days. We have the selection of the grape when there is the variation in July and August. We have the harvest, and we need to have 15, 20 people. And we made this work with people that come from East Europe, but now it's from Pakistan. Many workers are here from Pakistan. Yeah. They're very, very high quality. They're very high worker. And they come here during the season. They stay in Pakistan during the winter, and they come back in the starting of the spring to make the work in the vineyard.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah,
that's quite a journey. So I guess the question I'd like to ask, and I'm sure many of our listeners would like to know, Sagrantino is said to be the most tannic grape on this planet. It is estimated to be double the strength of Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, and even more so than Nebbiolo. Now, some of us know that with Barolo, which uses the Nebbiolo grape, we've had this old tradition of the Barolo being made and bottled and aged for anywhere between 10 to 20 years before it's sold because of the strength, the forte of the wine. Then a number of years ago, they had what they called the Renaissance, the Barolo boys, the new generation who want to speed up the process because economically it's not viable to hold it for 20 years.
Yeah, of course.
My question to you is with Sagrantino, they often say it's the generational grape. You buy it, not for yourself, not for your children, but for your grandchildren. Yeah. So how do you suggest and let your buyers know that if they're buying the wine now, can they drink it straight away or should they age it for much longer? It has an advantage or disadvantage. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the first things that I will tell to you that we have in this moment 6 vintage of Sagrantino in the winery, from 21 that has finished the fermentation some days ago, and 2016 that we are selling in this moment. We have in bottle 2 vintage that is aging in bottle is 17 and 18. Then we have in barrel 19 and 20. So we have a very, very long aging, 2 years in barrel and minimum 1 year in bottle before starting to sell. But we try to change some things in the work in the field and the work in the winery to make Sagrantino more drinkable. We change it very particular things. It's not so difficult because we changed. The first thing is the timing of the harvest. Before we had the harvest of Sagrantino with the other red grapes in the end of September and starting of October, when the sugar maturation was okay. But we understand that we bring in the winery some green tannins. This is the problem from the Sagrantino in the past. When you thought that Sagrantino, like Barolo, need a lot of time because we have the drinkable of Sagrantino now with the old version in around after 15 years. Now we can drink after 6-7 years because we changed this thing. First thing is the perfect phenolic maturation. We pick up the grape only in the second half of October. So we have probably half sugar degrees, 1 sugar degree more, but we have the perfect maturation. So it's the tannins are not green like in the past. Then we change the contact with the skin. We had in the past 10-15 days of contact with the skin with 4 pumping over every day with some very big extraction. Now we have 40-45 days more longer, but with only 1 pumping over during the day. And when we finish the fermentation, we stop the pumping over and we close the tank. We put the wine with the skin inside and we close without contact with oxygen for 40 days. So we made a longer time. Yeah, longer time.
Just for our viewers to understand, so pumping over is when during the fermentation, the grape skins tend to rise because carbon dioxide is one of the byproducts. So the skins rise, but you need to get the skins.
The contact, all the wine need the contact.
With the wine for the color and the flavor. So punching down means that they literally punch the skins down back into the juice. And that is what is all the magic. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we change all the system to contact with the skin. So a softer structure. And we have a totally different. Have you tasted Montefalco Sagrantino 2016?
I've actually tasted all your wine.
All your.
Yes.
So if you and we have a big, very important result. And then we made other kind of work. And we made this. And you talked now about the pumping, the pushing down.
Yes.
And we try to make them small vinification in small tonneau of 500 liter. The fermentation of the Sagrantino is in a big tank of temperature control. This fermentation is a small tonneau of 500 liter, and my father every day pushed down the skin to have the contact with the juice before and the wine when the fermentation is finished. And we have more velvet tannins. So we are working to have, of course, the characteristic of a Sagrantino is this one, is very big tannins wine, big structure. But we are trying to make the wine that when we sell, the customer can drink immediately, because the customers can, of course, put in the cellar for 2, 3, 5 years, but can drink immediately. This is important for us.
Yes, I think you have one. I think it's the full Sagrantino, which I think it would be best to have that. The longer they can hold it, the better. But you want to enjoy the wines, and I know you made the Sagrantino Rosso, which is a blend, and that's a lot easier and quicker to drink. It sort of is the aperitivo before the main meal. So of the Sagrantino itself. So
Sagrantino need the big meal, pasta with the meat or steak or lamb, something a little bit fat, because the tannins of Sagrantino can clean your mouth. Of course, Montefalco Rosso is easier to drink, but it's a blend where the Sagrantino is only the 15%, sorry, and Sangiovese is 70%. So the wine is Sangiovese with a little bit of Sagrantino and small part of Merlot and Colorino. And then another thing that we changed in the last year in the winery is the size of the wood, because we started with the old barrique. If you went in my winery in 2005, 2006, you find only barrel of 200 to 25 liters. Now you find totally barrel of French wood, of course, but 1,000 liter. And last year we bought one barrel of 5,000 liter, because we would like to have a wine that has the original characteristic of the grape. We don't like the taste of the wood in the wine. So we need to have original characteristic of the grape. Sagrantino is a unique wine, and we need to have original characteristic in the glass. So this is the work that we try.
Absolutely. So the importance of having a larger vessel. So if you have like a standard French barrique of 225 liters, it means that the contact of the wine, there's more contact with the actual sides of the barrels. So in this case, Bocale Winery has a 5,000 liter. So the contact of the wine with the wood is much less, and there's also much less influence. So talking about the grape again, Valentino, my question, sorry.
No, only one thing, on the wood. The difference from the big sides and the small side is also the time, because the micro-oxygenation in the big barrel need more time, but the time is not a problem for us, because we have the rule of Sagrantino that we need to take in the winery 36 months. So for us, it's no problem if Sagrantino need to stay in the barrel for 2 years. And Montefalco is 18 months. So we have very long time. So we can put in barrel 1 year Montefalco Rosso and 2 years Montefalco Sagrantino. Then all our wines stay 1 year in bottle before release.
Right.
So Sagrantino is the indigenous grape of the area. You can find Sagrantino only in 5 small towns: Montefalco, Bevagna, Gualdo Gattagno, Giano dell'Umbria, and Castelritaldi. All the population in this area is 25,000 people. So you understand it is very, very small area. And
so
Sagrantino.
Let me use that as my next question to you, Valentino, which was, you've just mentioned that the Sagrantino grape is grown mainly in Umbria, in the Montefalco area and these other areas. Now, as you know, there's been speculation by many, and after reading many different reference points, Nebbiolo, had it not been for the Ligurian coast, which makes it very difficult It's very hilly. It doesn't have a natural harbor, yeah, apart from Genoa, which is quite far in. That's why it never reached the high levels of expectation, or one where it is so widely grown like Cabernet Sauvignon. So Cabernet Sauvignon is widely known as a noble grape, yet it is accepted because it has that long ability to mature wine. Do you think that we should be trying to grow Sagrantino more widely in other parts of the world? And would you be supportive of that?
Some years ago, some wineries tried to make in Tuscany, because the production of the
How about out of Italy?
In Tuscany, not
no,
in
out of
because,
Italy.
Yeah, no,
Let's
out
say,
of it. I tell you, we have only one place in the world that made the small plants of Sagrantino. Is in Friuli. Because
okay, but that's still in Italy.
Yeah, in Italy. So, and we are the most important customers for this Vivaio. I don't know which is in English the name of Vivaio. Is the place where they made the small plants and they grow up. This is a factory in Friuli, because they use the sandy soil. Is very, very useful because they put inside. It is easy to pick up the small plants. Mm-hmm. And we are the most important customers. And from 2006 is closed the license to plant new plants of Sagrantino. So when some customers they try to buy the Sagrantino plants, yes, they call us and they say, Tuscany people and Australia and California, they ask to buy Sagrantino plants. So we have some wineries that use Sagrantino in Australia and some in California. In Tuscany they tried, but they stopped to make this kind of water. In both sides, in the New World, in Australia and in California, they use Sagrantino to make the blend, because they try to make Sagrantino 100%, and we made also a testing. I know this one because some years ago we invited a winery from Australia and one winery from California that they made Sagrantino grape, and they make a testing, the pairing of our Sagrantino with the Sagrantino, and the Sagrantino from California and from Australia. Sagrantino, you know, is very tannic wine, and this wine was more tannic than the Sagrantino that we made here. I don't know why. If probably it's the climate, probably it's the process that they use, and so they changed their target, because they try. The first target was made Sagrantino 100%. Then they changed the target and they made Sagrantino in the blend. So it's useful. Sagrantino is a big wine that you can use for blending. In the past was used also here to make, because the wine of, there is a lot of document of the medieval age that people of the valley from Spoleto and Foligno, they use the Sagrantino to give more structure to the wine of the valley, because it's not so big structure. And so it's normal that Sagrantino is used like in the blend to make. And we tested these two wines from California and from Australia. So some wineries try to make Sagrantino, of course, because it's not allowed use plants everywhere in the world. It's not allowed use the name Sagrantino, because we have the European rule that protect the name of Sagrantino for the denomination, the DOCG Sagrantino. The same reason is we can use Sagrantino in the label of Montefalco Rosso. Montefalco Rosso is a blend of Sagrantino, Sangiovese, Merlot, and Colorino. We can write Sagrantino in the back label for this reason, because it's protecting only for the DOCG.
And very interesting. So there is actually Sagrantino out of Umbria, but it is there are limitations to that. So tell me, with the Bocale winery, Valentino, your winery, it has limited production, 35,000 bottles. How do you compete against the bigger wineries, as your margin of profit must be challenging, you know, and obviously any winery wants to grow, and you only have 6 hectares. There's not much more to
we
expand. So
we
what do
can
you do?
we can compete for only for one reason, because all the member of the family works. Today is Sunday, and I went in the winery to prepare some shipping. In the big wineries, impossible. It's closed. They open on the Monday morning. So we work 12 hours every day, and probably we have a little bit more expensive our wines. But our market is a particular market because it's the people that would like to test unknown winery. Because probably some customers in Vancouver, they know other important wineries from Montefalco, and then they say, I would like to know something different. And they have an option, because we can tell a history that is a particular history of a winery that is 100 years. And then we try from 11 years to become a sustainable winery. So it's very, very important to us to make good wines with the sustainable process. It's very, very important. Artisanal and sustainable process. So this is the 11th year that the year that is finishing is the 11th year that we don't buy energy. Well, we produce with the solar system. And then it's several times that we don't use chemical products in the field. We don't use herbicide. We use only organic and mineral fertilizer. And from last year, this is the second year that we are in conversion to become officially organic winery. So we try to make a message to our customers. We are a sustainable winery that try to produce natural wines. This is our target. In the winery, we have the same process. All our wines are made with spontaneous fermentation. The reds are made without thermal stabilization, without microfiltration. So we try to make the wine with the sustainable process and with the artisanal process. So there is many people that like wine made from family winery with this kind of philosophy. And this is our target.
So what I'm hearing is your unique selling proposition for your wine is that it is artisanal, it is more sustainable, and you have already achieved that you put out there that you are vegan.
Vegan, of course.
Can you share with us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we don't use dairy in the process, and we don't use residual of animals during the work. To understand to the people, residual of dairy, of residual of animals, what means that we don't use to clarify our wines. In the past, in the artisanal process, what used the eggs, the white of the eggs, to clean the wine. Of course,
make it clearer.
Yeah. There is, and then there is small part of the eggs that stay in the wine, and people that has allergy to the eggs, and they drink wine and they have problem. So we stop all this kind of process of the dairy. If you use selected yeasts, probably you have some dairy in the wine, and so we will have a total natural wines, and we had the certification vegan for this reason, because there is
how
many.
Do you clarify? Do you clarify your wines?
Yeah, we have certificate.
So you use centrifugal force.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And we clean the wine with the natural system, because we wait 3 months that all the things go down, and we change the wine for several times when we see that all the wine is clean. This is not possible for the industry of the wine, because there is a lot of time,
a lot of work,
and there is a lot of wine that go in the distillery, because all the bottom of the wine that is conic, all the wine that stay in the conic side, we sell to the distillery in very, very cheap wine. So we change.
Do you use some of that to make grappa?
We use only the skin to make grappa. We made this very good grappa of Sagrantino grape. After the pressing, we put in the still the Sagrantino skin, and we send to the distillery, because we haven't the license to make the super alcoholic, and we have only the license to make wines, and we send to the small distillery close here, 100 kilometers, that they have the artisanal process like us, and we are sure that we sell our grappa, because we several times use the big distillery and you don't know. You send the skin and you have the grappa, but you don't know if it's real your grappa. We sell our grappa, we are sure.
Your grappa is quite delicious,
yeah,
Valentino.
yeah, perfect with
I've actually
chocolate.
had some of that.
Yeah.
So you've achieved the vegan status. You're moving on to become organic. You're aiming for sustainable. You seem to be going down the road that many of the new millennial consumers, and I think the more concerned and more defined type of consumer who wants that type of wine now has that choice with you.
Yeah.
Now, you obviously, sorry?
In the last years, we invested in another indigenous grape. We talked about Sagrantino that you find only in Montefalco.
Yes.
And we rediscover, because all the indigenous grape has very, very long life, but we rediscover another grape that is called Trebbiano Spoletino. Is the white indigenous grape of the area. It's very, very particular white grape. It's the grape of the valley. Sagrantino and Sangiovese are the grape of the hills. And Trebbiano Spoletino is the grape of the valley. We have several grape in Italy that is called Trebbiano. Yes. From Lago di Garda, Tuscany, Abruzzo. And the name of Trebbiano Spoletino came from the Latin name of Trevi, that is the town in front of Montefalco, in the other side of the valley. And the Latin name of Trevi was Trebbia. And so we have the Trebbia wines of the Spoleto Valley, and it's called Trebbiano Spoletino. And it's very strange white wine because the harvest is in the second half of October. We close the harvest with Sagrantino and Trebbiano Spoletino. And when we have the harvest, we have some bunches is perfect gold and means that is perfect maturation, and we have some bunches in the same plants green. So we have the acidity from the bunches green, and the smell of the wine and the bouquet of the wine from the perfect bunches maturation. But the plants made 6-7 bunches, not like in the past 20-200. Because I would like to tell you of the old system that the farmers, like my grandfather, used to grow up the Trebbiano Spoletino. They used the system that was called marriage system. Why marriage? Because they use two kinds of plants, an elms usually, and the vines grow up on the elms. And this is the reason because they call the elms and the Trebbiano marriage system. Yeah. The most expensive things in the wine, in the vineyard, is the system to grow up the vineyard. And probably they haven't the money to make all the system. And so they use another kind of plants to grow up the vines. And this kind of Trebbiano made 200 bunches, so the quality was very, very low. Now we made, like the other wine, another variety, we made Guyot for the Trebbiano Spoletino, and we produce 6-7 bunches per plant. So we have few production, but we have very high quality of the grape. And then the other particularity of the grape of Trebbiano that we have contact with the skin, short contact with the skin. And in this moment is the only wine that is still in fermentation. Today we are in the first days of December. We had the harvest in the second half of October. So we have a very, very long fermentation, slow temperature. Yeah, very low temperature and very long and slow fermentation. It's very, very important because the nose of the Trebbiano Spoletino is beautiful. You will test it.
It is. I've tasted it. So tell me, just an ending off, you know, we have through Bocale wineries, which has been in your family for at least 100 years. You come from a medieval city. You have all the characteristics and tradition of history, legacy behind you. And now, like many other famous Italian operations, your wines are found worldwide. Can you just give us a few places where you are currently exporting to?
In this moment, our most important market is North America. We sell in 18 states in United States, from the Atlantic to the Pacific coast. Mm-hmm. Then our most important market in Canada is British Columbia with Vancouver. And then we sell also in Quebec and in Ontario. And we are starting to register our label in Saskatchewan, is right the name. The Regina is the Saskatchewan. And then we sell in North Europe, Holland, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, UK, and London. We are in the most important Italian restaurants in London. We sell in Switzerland. And then we sell a little bit in Asia. We sell in South Korea, in Japan, and also in China.
Perfect. Well, we wish you greater globalization of your wine so that wine lovers of the world will appreciate it. So it's been an immense pleasure having the chance to share with you your experience, your family, with our listeners. And I think what you have really shown us, Valentino, is that there is so much of that compassion, as they would say, the rispetto and the familia that goes with, artisanal winemaking at its very best. So we hope that many tables out there will be able to enjoy a bottle of Bocale wine when they're enjoying their meal. So, molto grazie, signore.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And it's been a pleasure having you onto our interview. And we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much.
I hope so. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. So please comment, like, share, or subscribe to our videos.